Oh, hello to the gamers yet again. I told you we were gonna be talking about Halo, and yes, we're gonna. This is the best cutscene. It's the best cutscene. It might be one of the best cutscenes in Halo. Now, I wish it was remastered. We'd love to see that. I'm just gonna let it play, or I might not. I might cut some parts.
Staggered line. Shipmaster. They outnumber us 3-1.
Vanity is an even fight. Sorry, I had to do that.
All cruisers file at will. Burn their mongrel hides.
So yeah, we're talking about Halo today while playing Halo. One of the best missions in the trilogy. Back to back with the other best mission in the trilogy. Of course. What are we even going to be talking about today? Specifically in regards to Halo. Well, there's a common trend that I see when discussing the differences between the Bungie Halo games, you know, peak fiction, and the 343 games, which have been underwhelming, to say the least, even though I'm an avid Halo 4 defender. And this difference really speaks to whether 343's games get to the actual essence of Halo, and if they ruin the spirit of the original trilogy. And that question is, are the Forerunners human? And you can also see this is why I'm playing this level, because it has some of the most infamous counterpoints to it, the terminals, which I'm not really going to get into, or I waste my time scrolling through them, even though I do like them. But there is a clear online consensus that follows the, you know, Bungie good, 343 bad line of thinking, where it was super clear that the humans were Forerunner in the Bungie games, and 343 retconned it and completely ruined it. They don't understand Halo. They don't get Halo. People get heated. They get it's like probably one of the things people are most pissed off about when talking about this. But for once, I'm going to actually argue in favor of 343 Industries, which I know is not the best thing to do. But at least in terms of this, I have very strong opinions. And man, the fucking skybox, man. You don't... Man, I love this fucking game. It's my first time even seeing... Well, it's blue over there. Can we visit that biome? So yeah, in attempting to argue in defense of 343 Industries, of course, I need to talk about my credentials. It's gonna be a nice trip down memory lane about how I got introduced to Halo, how long I've been playing it, and how long I've been a fan. The first time I ever played Halo was at a friend's house, probably around 2009, I think. I don't really know the year, I'm just basing it off of when all the later events happened. But I was at a friend's house, we were playing some split-screen custom games. I was terrible at it. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, whoa, I've never played a first-person shooter in my life. It was awful. I was terrible at it. But I wanted to play it because they all had it. But I didn't have an Xbox, so I couldn't. But thankfully, Christmas was right around the corner. And I got an Xbox 360 with Halo 3 ODST, which conveniently came with the map pack. And a Halo 3 multiplayer. Now, there was like a 1 week period where I didn't have Xbox Live because I didn't even know you could play on. I had no idea what the hell this was. My first time playing online gaming, so I was just stuck with the ODST campaign, and you know, great. I'm really glad they had the little title crawl like Star Wars in it, because that was my first introduction to the Halo universe. And I don't think I ever got past like the first or second level because I was terrible and I thought it was scary. I mean, it really did set a great atmosphere. My God. That's why ODST will always have a special place in my heart. Besides the fact that it's an amazing fucking game. Then I just stuck to multiplayer once I got things running. I found a good group of friends to run with online. But eventually, one of them convinced me to get the Halo 3 campaign. You know, I find it in the store at like a Walmart. And we play the last level. We play Halo of Halo 3. And that's my first time like actually playing one of the mainline games. And that kind of convinced me to just get all the rest of the ones. You know, eventually I just play Combat Evolved, I play 2, I play 3, I beat ODST finally. This is all before Reach even came out. And, you know, I absolutely fell in love with the series. I fell in love with the games. And I was very sad that, like, oh, Bungie's making the last Halo game. There's not going to be any more. It's so unfortunate. But, yeah, I have memories of playing the Reach beta. That's crazy. Reach beta was so fun. And then I was in a position where I played the hell out of Halo Reach when it came out. I beat the campaign in, like, a day. I remember hitting, like, the max rank you could because they put a level cap in for, like, the first, like, month. What was it? It was, like, warrant officer, or was it lieutenant colonel that you couldn't get past? I forget. Yeah, I don't even know. I never got to max level, unfortunately. I mean, at least I was there when they shut the servers down. I hopped on to the Xbox 360 version to play with a couple guys. Oh, I need to abandon this sniper. This is not going to work for these hunters. Yeah, I loved Reach. It was so good. I have the memory of wanting to jump right back into Combat Evolved after finishing the last mission. Because, like, no shit, that's right where it ends up. Oh, jeez, give me a break. But I always find this part to be the most difficult. I don't know why, but I think when I completed this on Legendary, I did it in one try. Which, you know, I guess because I'm actually trying on Legendary here, I'm kind of playing mindlessly. But yeah, loved Reach, amazing. At some point, I know I read all the novels that were out at the time. I had, like, the 3-pack of Reach, The Flood, or I think it was a 5-pack of The Fall of Reach, The Flood, First Strike, Contact Harvest, and the Cole Protocol? I think so. I don't think I had Ghost of Onyx. I don't think that was in there. Anyway, then I was completely shocked that at one of the E3s, Halo 4 was announced. I was like, oh my god, they're actually making another game. It's not Bungie, but oh my god, they're making another Halo. I was ecstatic. You know, the books that were coming out at the time, you know, you had the Kilo 5 trilogy, which, you know, followed up with Ghost of Onyx and told its own story, which I loved. You know, the post-war period. I think that trilogy is really good, even though people hate it because they don't like Karen Travis, but tough shit. I think they're good books. And then, of course, some of my favorite novels now of all time, and I think they will stay there, the Forerunner trilogy, at least the first 2 books that came out before Halo 4, because the last one came out after. But wow, oh my god, I fell in love with it. I love the Forerunner trilogy so much. I love everything about it. It's such a nice, dense sci-fi. It is so much. You know, fuck, man, I might go read them again. Like, I might read them again. But I love them. I bought into the hype train leading up to Halo 4 so much. It was one of my most anticipated games of all time. I convinced my parents to let me stay home from school that day, and I beat the campaign in one night. And it met my expectations fully. It was amazing for little kid me, like, especially the Didact stuff, the Chief of Cortana. It was just so, oh my god, I loved it. Now, the multiplayer, I didn't love that much. You know, it was too easy because it felt too much like COD. You know, I played through Spartan Ops, I think, once. And then I think I tried keeping up with the comics that came up after it, you know, Halo Escalation, and ooh, this is when it all starts going downhill, huh? Halo Escalation, just resolving all of the Spartan Ops plotlines in a comic book, and leaving it off on a great ending, and one sub-comic run of that, the next 72 hours, which, oh god, infamous, ruined. Honestly, ruined Halo for me. That because they killed off the fucking Didact in a comic book, and they killed off Black Team. Like, how can you do that off screen? Unbelievable, criminal, honestly. And of course, I'm just theorizing, but that's where whatever plan 343 Industries had laid out for their trilogy was completely thrown off by that comic book, either on purpose. I mean, I think they were going in a new direction with the story, but that just meant that whatever was built up in Halo 4 was not going to be followed through with. So what's next? Oh yeah, Halo 5. I mean, I was hyped for Halo 5. How could you not be? It had one of the best marketing campaigns for a Halo game of all time. I mean, the Hunt the Truth trailers during the Walking Dead Sundays, amazing. And the Hunt the Truth campaign itself, the podcast, was so fucking good. And because it was so fucking good, the fact that it didn't represent the final product at all, I still can't contain my disappointment for Halo 5. Wow. Just like 3 Master Chief levels, and none of it has to do with Hunt the Truth, and it's a cliffhanger, and Cortana's back. Retconning your death, which was the most emotional part of Halo 4. Criminally underusing Blue Team. It baffles me to this day what the hell they were thinking with that. It's just like, it made me completely lose interest in Halo, at least until Infinite came out. I mean, there were no good books, there was nothing. I was just like, not interested in it whatsoever, even though the multiplayer kind of slapped. Especially Warzone, please bring it back. Warzone's pretty hype, even though it was kind of pay to win, but it doesn't matter, it was fun. And then, you know, Infinite gets revealed, I get back on the hype train, I start rereading all the novels, especially all the ones that I missed. I replayed all the campaigns. I beat them on Legendary for the first time. That was nice. That felt good. The multiplayer flights came out, and then early multiplayer came out. It was good. I'm like, I have some concerns, but at least the campaign will be nice. It's open world. It's different. And then the campaign dropped, and it was mid. It didn't really progress the story at all. It left like a lot to be desired. I like the emotional aspects, the small characters. I guess I don't know. It just like, okay, whoa. You are too much. Repetitive levels, repetitive biomes, a lot of bloat in the open world. Introducing another villain and another species that didn't need to be there. And I mean, my biggest complaint is, you know, the whole story also told in flashbacks. But my biggest complaint is setting the game on Zeta Halo and not doing a fucking thing with it, with all the fucking lore that was built up into it again. So I don't know. What was that? That was 3 years ago, and we don't know anything about where's the UNSC Infinity, what's going on. I just like, it's dead right now. The story can't really move forward, so I don't know. I'm just awaiting the next game to get like any ounce, any crumb of a story. Some good books have come out since Infinite's come out. You know, I fell off Infinite's multiplayer because there's no content. There were some good books since then. Some of which I will be mentioning in this video because it's very important. But yeah, I haven't played Infinite in a while. That's why I'm playing MCC right now. But just awaiting Halo 7 with bated breath. I mean, they completely gutted the entire management of 343. A lot of layoffs. So I'm slightly hopeful that it'll be good, because all the problems of all these Halo games hopefully shouldn't happen. I mean, the guy in charge is the guy who turned around the MCC, so I'm hoping it's good, but it's still going to be under Microsoft, so I can't, I don't know. Anyway, let's get to the meat of the video. First, I want to talk about why the Forerunners are human, or the case for it. Now, you might wonder why I'm even going to be talking about making this whole video if my opening statement on this is, yeah, Bungie absolutely intended for the humans to be Forerunners. Like, I fully agree that was their intention. We can go through the evidence if you want me to. All the quotes from 343 Guilty Spark, the Master Chief, referencing like, oh, you fired the rings last time. How could you not know this stuff? Especially the quote, "You are the child of my makers, inheritor of all they left behind. You are Forerunner, but this ring is mine." It's pretty blatant. There's also some quotes, especially defining like, where did the word reclaimer even come from? This comes from Contact Harvest, written by Joseph Staten. You know, the prophets are talking to their oracle in the middle of their Forerunner city, who turns out to be Menegid Bias, who talks to them and saying, you know, for eons I've watched, listened to you misinterpret. This is not reclamation, this is reclaimer. So, you know, all the symbols they kept seeing on all these planets were reclaimer, which means, you know, humans are reclaimers. I'm not even going to get into the whole weird retcon that not all humans are reclaimers. I mean, they definitely are, at least in my book. I don't know who the hell started making shit up in the Halo canon that only some humans could do it. I think that that was the thing in the Halo TV show, which we're not even going to. Trust me, we're not going to go there. We can go there another time. But no, it's my belief that all humans are reclaimers. I think that's how it works. There's also an interview that I scrounged up with Joseph Staten himself right before the release of Halo 2. The interviewer even like references like, "Hey, modern humans are the descendants of the Forerunners, right?" And all he says is, "That's an interesting theory," which comes out, at an interesting time, considering they already cut their original ending of Halo 2, which clearly shows that humans are Forerunners. I mean, that's another like piece of evidence as well. They open the tomb of the Forerunners and it's a human. That's like as clear as it can get, but do remember it was cut. Motherfucker. In that interview, they were also talking about like ambiguity in storytelling and how they like to leave a lot of things ambiguous, but as it got more popular, they need to make things more clear. As we saw in like Halo 2, more straightforward storytelling, but they still wanted to leave things ambiguous and like have people really theorize about things for like decades to come. Yeah, the real thing that like proves their intentions is the original Halo 2 ending, which, yeah. So now, I'm trying to figure out, if we want to keep the argument of like, oh, 343 doesn't get Halo out of it, why do people cling to like this interpretation so hard and prefer it, other than Bungie did it, so it needs to be right? I've heard that it makes like the universe a lot more interesting, that the Forerunners being their own species kind of ruins the original trilogy. There's the dramatic irony in the Covenant committing a genocide against their own gods. The Forerunners are actually human. It's like, yeah, I like that. That's really interesting, actually. But I also do say that it's a bit cliche to be like, oh, they were humans all along. Oh, that is not... I thought there was a trip mine, but I do like the depth that it adds of the Covenant committing genocide against their gods. But while using the Halo 2 original ending as proof for this, I think you also have to concede the fact that in Halo 3, this is not in it whatsoever. It's not. Clearly, they went back on their intentions of making this super, super clear. The only thing in Halo 3 that even hints towards it is the "You are Forerunner" line from Spark, which can be interpreted either literally or metaphorically, keeping that ambiguity intact. And yes, the terminals do exist, which adds this ambiguity even more. And yes, I know there's a lot of stuff. Different teams worked on it, so you shouldn't take this as like gospel. But the fact that they had to get put in the game, people had to look at it, people had to review everything in the game. Again, it just oh, damn. That's also embarrassing. So essentially, my whole conclusion here is that Bungie, yes, intended for the humans to be Forerunner. However, they also went back on the decision to make it obvious. They wanted to make it ambiguous and not give people a clear answer. They wanted it to be debated. Even though... Alright, I need to lock the fuck in. Now, let's talk about the case for the Forerunners being Forerunner. I don't need to go through any evidence here because the 343 canon makes it's explicit. Like, that's the whole point. There's literally a whole fucking book trilogy about this. I don't need to persuade anyone here. It's clear. But I want to talk about some of the facts about the Forerunner trilogy, because I feel like when people talk about, oh, the Forerunners are their own species, they don't really like understand the nuances between what the hell that actually even means. And then I want to talk about, does this actually undermine the original trilogy and its themes and its intentions? So, before anything, there was a race of beings called the Precursors. Godlike beings, incredible power, insane, kind of like Cthulhu-like beings. And they created many races throughout the galaxy, including the humans and the Forerunners. Now, the Precursors eventually wanted to, as they were rulers of the galaxy, the inheritors of the mantle of responsibility, they wanted to pass that responsibility on to a different race at some point. And they basically were grooming the Forerunners to do that. However, they realized, okay, maybe the Forerunners aren't the best at this. They've gotten to know them a lot, and instead they were actually going to go back on their word and pick humanity as the rulers of the galaxy. The Forerunners. Oh, hang on. Peak fiction incoming.
Look, up high! Here she comes! Is the dawn rated for atmosphere? I guess we're gonna find out. Hey, take cover!
Oh shit! Fuck! I see. Ah man, I love this game. I love this game. So the Forerunners found out, and in their infinite wisdom, they decided to genocide the precursors. Genociding their gods, someone might say. And, you know, the precursors didn't put up a fight. They just surrendered. They could have beat them if they wanted to, but no, they just let it happen. They didn't want to fight back, which I find really interesting. I like that. I like that. I like how it mirrors the Covenant supposedly genociding their own gods. So we still have that in the series. It's just in a different place. Now, humanity was also an advanced species at this time, you know, being a spacefaring civilization. Not at the tier of the Forerunners, but, you know, pretty close. They started fucking around with some space dust that they found. They fed it to their dogs to try and tame them, or their space dogs. Turns out, they accidentally created the Flood. Fantastic news. I like how it adds humanity fucking around with what it shouldn't, which is a common theme. And the Flood, really, I mean, the space dust was corrupted precursors. I mean, corrupted or potentially evil. They were taking revenge against the universe. Still a bit unclear. It's ambiguous there. Ah, perfect explosion. But yeah, Flood was created, and they start, like, invading into the Forerunners' territory. They start glassing Forerunner planets, killing a lot of them, because they want to try and contain the infection and not fucking die. But the Forerunners don't know this, so they take it as an act of aggression and wipe humanity out in a war, and revert their asses back to the Stone Age. Now at this point, I think we know the story. The Flood infect the galaxy, the Forerunners build the halos, and wipe everything out. And they seed all life for it to begin anew, and then, you know, we have our history. So what exactly does this change do? The Forerunners are still an ancient species. They still build amazing technology that is far beyond our own. I'd say it adds a lot more depth in the relation between humanity and the Forerunners. The fact that they're kind of like children to a godlike species, brothers in arms. I mean, with the religious themes of the original trilogy, this is kind of more like, you know, Cain and Abel. But instead of, you know, committing the first murder, they, you know, it mixes in with Adam and Eve, and they commit, like, the original sin. The Forerunners commit the original sin against their gods, which is genocide. And in revenge, they eventually create the Flood, which wipes out all life in the galaxy. Again, I think that's just, like, neat, and does at least expand the religious kind of themes that were going on in the original trilogy. As to calling humans reclaimers, it absolutely still fits. Humanity was given the initial claim to the mantle, and then the Forerunners took it from them by genociding the precursors. And then, you know, after the Halo gets fired, they realize, oh, we fucked up, we actually don't deserve this, and we're just not gonna live on. We're gonna give it to humanity so they can reclaim what we took from them. Wow, they're reclaimers. Shocking. It fits. I feel like the only thing lost is the Covenant waging a war of extermination against their gods that they worship. It's transferred to the Forerunners, but I'd even argue that the Covenant waging a war of extermination against a species that their gods considered worthy of inheriting the mantle of responsibility to be not quite the same, but has kind of the same themes going on there. So really, it doesn't change that much. It kind of just goes into a different direction that people don't like, for, I think, mostly reasons of old thing good, new thing bad. Which, I mean, okay. Now that I've talked a lot about all of this, it turns out it doesn't really matter, and we're arguing for kind of no reason, because I've left out the truth, or at least the truth as it stands post, I think, 2022 or 2023. So a new novel released, it's called Halo Point of Light, has a lot of connections to the Forerunner trilogy, and some interesting, very interesting information was revealed in it. And it throws this whole human-forerunner debate thing. It throws it throws it into a loop and brings it back to being completely ambiguous, at least in my opinion. So the main character of the book is Ryan Forge, the daughter of, Sergeant Forge from Halo Wars. Pretty cool. Is conversing with the librarian, a Forerunner, which I think most people familiar with Halo should know. She's communicating with her throughout the novel. Either through visions and stuff like that. I mean, clearly visions. The librarian isn't alive in current year. And the librarian reveals that, she's had some mutations in her life, some biological ones that it's never really made her, fit in with Forerunner society, which, as a side note, this matters because society of the Forerunners is very segregated into a caste system. And it's biologically, segregated. So you look different to other castes, and whatever you're born into, it's literally like a caste system, but on a biological level. So this really matters that she doesn't look the same, she doesn't physically belong with her parents and things like that because of mutations in her genetics. So she struggles with this quite a lot. And I mean, one of the main mutations he talks about is having 5 fingers instead of the usual 6, just like humanity. And she brings this up to Forge herself, distinctly bringing the humanity comparison there. So the librarian really wants to get to the bottom of this. She starts talking about that there's a lot of lost castes in Forerunner history. It's equivalent to us. We don't have Neanderthals. They don't exist anymore. Things evolved out of them, and they were definitely get lost. But in this case, even she's going through the records, which Forerunners have a lot of historical archives for being such an advanced species, but she can't really find that much information about, where are all these lost things? They should be here, but they're not. It's like, Obi-Wan visiting the fucking archives, and there's a planet where everything's orbiting around it, but there's no planet there. So you can tell that something is missing, but you don't know what it is. Eventually, she comes to the realization, I mean, I already said it before, but I guess Forerunners didn't know, that the precursors created both Forerunners and humanity. Later on, towards the climax of the novel, Ryan Ford is having more visions and conversations with the librarian, and the librarian refers to humanity as the Forerunner's true genetic sibling, which is pretty huge. Anyway, there's more visions and stuff like that. We see a constant theme of 2 lines, 2 lineages, and we see a being that has a bunch of hybrid features of Forerunners and human, namely, the 5 fingers and stuff like that, but distinctly Forerunner, but also distinctly human. And so what does this actually mean? Of course, it's not outright said. I'm doing a bit of interpretation here, especially with everything else in the book. But it seems to me that the precursors created one ancestor species, and this ancestor species eventually evolved into both the Forerunners and humanity. So, humans are Forerunner, and Forerunners are human, but they're also different cultures and have evolved to be different species at the time of the firing of the Halos. So now this whole argument is moot, like that scarab, and we've looped back around to it being incredibly ambiguous and not outright confirmed as to whether they are the same species or are they different. So now we keep the best things about humans being Forerunner, and the best things about the Forerunner trilogy, and they can coexist. So now we can stop arguing. We can take it easy. This is a non-starter.
Infantry on the spire.
It's kind of a retcon of a retcon, but that's fine. It's in a good spot right now. Honestly, I'd argue it's more faithful to Bungie's intention of keeping everything vague, because I am taking a leap of faith in this interpretation. It is possible that the precursors just made two species at the same time. But I don't know, because then why would you have like a being who's looks human and Forerunner? Again, it's not outright stated. You have to interpret it in a certain way, and that, I think, that is what Bungie would have intended, to keep debating about this and making it ambiguous. Yes, they're related, but are they the same? I don't know, but it seems like we're in a nice middle ground where both things are true, and we can have our cake and eat it too. It's a good rant. I need to get this out for a while. So can we please just stop arguing and hope the next Halo is the start of a new golden era, considering the new management and everything like that. Of course, though, if it sucks, then we can all abandon ship for real and play MCC until the end of time. I'll be in a retirement home playing MCC with my like stage 7 Alzheimer's, and honestly, that I wouldn't want it any other way. If you want to talk about anything I said, please put a comment. If you liked what I said, leave a like. If you want to hear more of this kind of yapping, I have many opinions about Halo. If you want to hear them, then subscribe. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'm trying to see if I can kill myself with something. No. But I can do this. So yeah, thanks for watching.